Okay, shortly I'll be starting the lecture, right? So just a quick indication in the chat area whether you can hear me or not, because I will be moving. I'll be leaving this this platform, and I will not be checking the chat area. So can you just let me know whether you can hear me or not? Okay, fine. All right. So what you can do is keep your questions till the end if you have time. Otherwise, in the tutorial class. Okay. So my priority now is to try and get through the slides. We have only 1 hour. Okay. So shortly I will be going to the. I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, so we're going to still continue on ethics today. Okay, this is actually this is week 5, but as you know, last week we had a presentation from CPA Australia. So I'm going to resume the same thing this week. Okay, lecture on ethics. Okay, so examines the implications of professional ethics. So last week we had first-hand meeting with the Melissa Wu from CPA Australia. So as you would be fine, most of our teaching material and slides are from them. Okay, so examine the implication of professional ethics based on the service ideal and public interest. So this is the two important things that we need to keep in mind: the ideal of service and public interest. And then we will also look at some of the analytical tools that guide accountants and help them to resolve ethical dilemmas. So we just now earlier in our tutorial, we had a few mini case studies where we had this issue of ethical dilemmas: to do or not to do, what to do, and so on and so forth. This is called ethical dilemma. So we just finished our tutorial with those who are in the section 3 class. So we will know, you will have some idea of what are these ethical dilemmas. It could be issues relating to overtime, working without being paid, earnings management, pinching of staff, and so on. There are so many things that we can use in the case study. And then we will also look at the code of ethics, which is the code of ethics from CPA Australia, okay, for professional accountants, philosophical theories of ethics, and ethical decision-making frameworks. So we'll be looking at the code of ethics. We will also be looking at some of the theories of ethics and the ethical decision-making frameworks or models, which can guide us in making ethical decisions. So when you finish this module, you should be able to explain the concept of professional and business ethics and discuss some of the key philosophical approaches to ethics, okay, for some of the theories and how this will impact on the professionals' ethical decision making. And then we'll also learn how to comply with APES 110, which is a code of ethics for professional accountants, analyze and resolve ethical dilemmas in accounting, apply ethical decision-making model, and then discuss the impact of decision-making and action on society. Okay, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully, at the end of this section or this module, you will have understood some of these key ideas, okay, in ethics. So now we're going to start at looking at some of the ethical theories. The ethical theories: to identify, to understand, analyze, and to respond to ethical issues appropriately, it is important. You can see the word important is in capital. It is important to have a clear and coherent basis for your thoughts and actions. So we will get an overview of ethical theories and also have a practical examination of APES 110, which is the Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants. Okay, we have Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants. So in Malaysia, our professional body is MIA, Malaysian Institute of Accountants. So once you have qualified and you register with them, they will give you their Code of Ethics, which tells you how you can and how you should behave. what is permitted and what is not permitted. And then we will also understand how people should behave, should in bold red, and act, rather than how they do behave and act. So there's a distinction here between how people should behave and act, not so much how they actually behave and act. So when it comes to ethical decision making, most people do not fit into a single theoretical category. Okay, it's very difficult. There's no like one size fits all. There's no one size fits all. Okay, and therefore their decisions are based on a mix of different characteristics. Okay, it depends on your upbringing, depends on your exposure, you know, what's your family background, what's your religion, which country you're living in. All of this will impinge on your ethical decision making. Okay, because we are talking about human beings, people. Okay, not robots, people. So we should understand how people behave and act, how they should, not how they do. How they do is how they do in real life, but it may not be the proper or ethical way to behave and act. Okay, but then the last sentence says that when it comes to this matter of ethical decision making, there is no one mold or one pattern or one size fits all. Okay, so most people do not fit into a single theoretical category, and their decisions are based on a mix of different characteristics. Okay, let's look at this ethical theory. This is what is we call a normative ethical theory. Normative ethical theory. An example of a normative ethical theory is utilitarianism. Utilitarianism. So this theory, this ethical theory, defines what is right by the outcome that leads to the greatest number of people. So utilitarianism is a concept which says that this action is correct since it brings benefit to the greatest number of people. It doesn't say everybody. I want to make that distinction very, very clear. So utilitarianism is an example of a normative ethical theory which defines what is right by the outcome that leads to the benefit, or which benefits the greatest or the maximum number of people. Now, often linked to government decision making on how to spend money and which laws to create. So governments often use this approach of utilitarianism, maximum benefit for the maximum number of people. It's just not humanly possible to please everyone. Okay, for example, the government might say, okay, we're going to ban smoking. Surely this will have implications on society. So how the government will make a decision on the health versus cost, health benefit versus cost factors. Okay, because they get a lot of income from excise duty on tobacco. So if they ban smoking, they ban cigarettes. So obviously the government is going to lose a lot of revenue. For those who are studying public sector accounting, you will know what I'm talking about. So they are going to lose a lot of revenue from the excise duty on tobacco. So this is an example of a decision where the government has to make. On one side, I have to look at the health aspect. A lot of people suffering from lung cancer and other kind of diseases which are related to smoking. So it costs money to treat them, money that can be used for treating other patients. So again, this has to balance out. Okay, I want to please everybody, I cannot. So I go and apply this concept of utilitarianism. What is right is what gives the benefit maximum number of people. However, there will be a problem where the large amount of benefit for the majority may cause harm to the minority. So I've just given an example of smoking. So the smokers might say you are infringing on our rights. We are getting pleasure from this. We are not harming anybody. We are going to the designated area to smoke. So what is the problem? Why do you want to ban smoking? So like I'm just giving an example so that you can get an understanding of what is utilitarianism. Okay, decision made to benefit the maximum number of people. Now, definitely there will be a group, a section of society which is not happy. Like now, okay, let me now come to a more current issue. This is an issue which is being debated in our media, the issue of vaccination. The issue of vaccination. Apparently, I don't have the figures, but apparently there are quite a large number of people who have yet to be vaccinated. Not because the vaccination centers are not nearby, or it's not because they're not able to access the vaccination center, it's just that they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. If you have been following the news, even in Johor, the schools have not been opened yet because many teachers there have refused to be vaccinated. So the government in this country has not made it mandatory. It's voluntary. If you want, you download the My Sejahtera app, and then you fill in your details. You tekan there, you press there, you ask for your appointment. They give you the appointment. They don't force you. They don't force you. Okay. Now, some people might say this is a public health issue. Okay, it's not a matter of 1%, 2%. This is a very contagious disease. It spreads quickly. So if they refuse to be vaccinated, and if they are frontliners, whether they are in the teaching profession or in the supermarket or wherever they need to come into face-to-face contact with members of the public, then it becomes a matter of public health. So maybe the government needs to consider mandating it. Mandating it means making it compulsory. If you don't, then you are breaking the law. So at the moment, the government hasn't decided. So again, I'm talking about, I want you to come back to this idea of utilitarianism. So if the government says, yes, we are mandating it because this is the decision which provides the best outcome to the maximum number of people. If just a few small number who are very stubborn, who refuse to get vaccinated, they are giving all kind of reason, all kind of story, all kind of things which are not supported by evidence, not supported by science. Some of them are quoting religion and other things. Okay, so now government says, okay, for now we are doing it voluntarily. You want, you just download the My Sejahtera, and then you can key in your details there, your IC number and blah blah blah, and then you can fix your appointment through the app. Okay, so this is an example where the government has to decide what's in the best interest of the maximum number of people. So normative theories can be divided into two broad categories: teleological or consequential, and deontological or duty-based. So let's look at the teleological theories. Teleological theories are consequential. So this means it's based on the consequence or the outcome. So an action will be dubbed as ethical or unethical based on the outcome, based on the consequence. So this is what they call a teleological theory. Now, for example, if the benefits as in health, life, satisfaction of a proposed action outweighs the costs, pain, sickness, death, the decision or action is considered ethically correct. Now, in the case of this current issue which we are facing in Malaysia and around the world, this pandemic, there's a lot of debate if you follow the media, not only in Malaysia, but all over the world, in Singapore, in America, Canada, New Zealand, all over the place, where there's this group of anti-vaxxers, they call themselves, anti-vaxxers. Now, if we government look at it from this perspective of the outcome, okay, the benefit, health, life satisfaction. If the government says that everybody must be vaccinated, if you are not, then you will be punished. You will be fined or whatever action they take, okay? Because the cause of the pain, the sickness, the death, people going to hospital, not enough ICU bed, some of them sleeping on the floor, there's no bed, some of them say, cannot keep you here, please go home, self-isolate at home, and all kind of things. So what is the benefit versus the cost? Okay, this is what consequential, based on the outcome. Egoism. Egoism says that it is right for a person to pursue an action in their own interests. They call it as ethical egoism. Ethical egoism. Utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is a good act or a decision produces the greatest benefit or pleasure for the maximum number of people. So again, coming back to the example of like vaccination, because this is current issue. Okay, government can say we have decided that for the good of this country, for the good of the citizens of this country, we are going to pass a law in parliament making it mandatory. If you don't get vaccinated, you cannot enter the mall, cannot enter the supermarket, cannot go anywhere. If you still don't want, then we have to start arresting people. The government hasn't chosen that path yet. They are still debating the pros and the cons. There's a lot of discussion in the social media about this issue. But again, we're looking at this from aspect of maximum benefit for maximum number of people. Okay, I hope you get the picture. Okay, all right. Now, an example of egoism. I just spoke about ethical egoism. Okay, ethical egoism. So an example of ethical egoism and providing a professional opinion. This is an example here for you to understand what is meant by ethical egoism in the context of providing a professional opinion. So an accountant is asked by his client for a professional opinion. Okay, you have a client. He or she comes to you and asks, okay, I want to ask you, can you give me your professional opinion about this matter? Okay. Then he explained to you, this is my issue, this is my problem. Okay, after listening and considering all the facts of the case, and you tell him, okay, this is my advice. This is my advice to you. Now, however, if this opinion is detrimental to the client, okay, the client comes to you and says, for example, okay, this year I want to pay less tax. Can you help me? Then you say, okay, how can I help you? Okay, these are some of the items of expenditure that I have. I am planning to write them off. Not capitalize, but write them off. Operationalize the expense. But you know from your understanding of accounting and accounting standards that these items should be capitalized in the balance sheet and depreciated or amortized over time. Not written off in one go like this. Now, if you give your best professional advice to your client, and he says, okay, I'm paying you for your services, but this advice you're giving me is not to my benefit. So I'm not happy. So if you don't want to follow what I'm asking you to do, then I'm going to see another auditor, another accountant, who is more willing to follow what I request, who is more willing to accommodate my requests. So if you are following this concept called ethical egoism, so you as an accountant or as an auditor should provide full and accurate advice, regardless of the outcome. Even if the client says that, okay, if this is what you are saying to me, okay, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. I'm going to take my business to another accountant, another auditor, because you refuse to do what I'm asking you to do. So if you are going to follow this concept of ethical egoism, you should tell the client, okay, I've given you my best advice. in accordance with my code of ethics, in accordance with my accounting standards, in accordance with my financial reporting standards, in accordance with my tax code. If you still think that you're not happy, I cannot stop you. You're most welcome to go and see another accountant and auditor. But of course, you must speak to him in a professional manner, not in a rude manner. Okay, so allow the client to get another professional advisor, meaning you just tell him, okay, fine, I've given you my best advice. If you feel that this is not to your benefit, you're not happy, by all means, go and get the advice of another accountant or auditors. So this is what we call ethical egoism. I stand by what I said because I'm confident that I'm giving you the best professional advice. But if you're not happy, you want me to follow what you want me to do, I cannot do it because it's against my code of ethics, it's against my accounting standards, it's against my financial reporting standards, it's against my tax code. I can't do it. So this is called ethical egoism. So pursuit of self-interest should not knowingly come at the expense of one's well-being or that of others. So this is what we mean by you should never put your, if in this instance just now, if I'm in this example just now, if I put my self-interest first, I'm only interested in the money, in the fees. I do whatever the client asks me to do, knowing full well that it's against the accounting standards, it's against the code of ethics, this is against the best practice, professional best practice, because I want to keep this client, I want to keep this fee, I want to keep this income. That means you are putting your self-interest first. So let me state it here very clearly so there's no doubt in your mind. The pursuit of self-interest should not knowingly come at the expense of one's well-being or that of others. That of others meaning the public. So if I want to put it in another way, if there's any time there's a conflict between self-interest and public interest, you should be very clear in your mind. I hope I'm getting the correct message across. Public interest comes first. Don't tell me in the exam, oh, this is what's happening outside. This is what the people are doing outside. I'm not interested. It's not that I don't know, but I definitely cannot teach you the wrong thing. So please, in the exam or in any similar kind of situation, if you know very, very well this is unethical, your gut feeling tells you it's unethical, you should straight away say it's unethical. Don't try to rationalize. Don't try to justify. Oh, I badly need this money. My business is struggling. Now there's a COVID-19. Now there's a pandemic. Businesses are struggling. Do not give those type of answers in the exam. I know I've said this before, but because it is so important, I'm repeating. Always assume ideal conditions. Okay, this type of answers you can keep it when you're working next time. You deal with your majikan, your employer. But for now, you're a student. Okay, so if something is very clearly unethical, it's in conflict with your ethical standards, it's in conflict with your code of ethics, it's in conflict with your financial reporting standards, it's in conflict with your tax code, it's in conflict with the Companies Act 2016, definitely you should not proceed with that course of action. I hope I made it very clear. Okay, now the second category of theories is what we call the deontological theories. Okay, now so far earlier all this while, remember I said there are two main the last paragraph you can see the normative theories can be divided in two broad categories: teleological, consequential, or outcome based. These are called outcome based. Or the second category is deontological, duty based. Okay, so we're done with the teleological or consequential based action. Now we're going to look at deontological or duty based. So under this concept of deontological theories or duty based, okay, so I hope you can hear me because I don't get any feedback from you. I'm just assuming that you can hear me. Okay, if you can't, please unmute and let me know because I'm not in the Teams platform right now. I can't see what is in the chat area. So if you cannot hear me, kindly unmute and speak up. So deontological theories or duty based. So basically what these theories are saying is that the intention to do the right thing is more than the results of the act. Your motive. What matters is your motive. What is your motive? So if your motive is right, then it is correct, even though the result may be something else. This is called duty-based or deontological theories. So ethical decisions may be evaluated using a variety of criteria. Prioritizing consequences is only one criteria. So prioritizing consequences comes under this theory, consequential. If the outcome is good, it benefits the maximum number of people, then it is okay, good. Okay, this is consequential. Now here in this type of theory or deontological theory, which is a duty-based kind of theory, your intention is more important. Your intention is more important. The intention to do the right thing is more important than the result of the act. So we are going to use, if we are going to use this frame of reference, or we are going to use this framework in our decision making, okay, it's up to you to choose. I don't have any preference, but you must, like I said many times already, you must justify. You must justify. Okay, so ethical decisions may be evaluated using a variety of criteria. Prioritizing consequences is only one criteria. We've already seen prioritizing just now. Okay, under the teleological theory, outcome-based theory. Okay, this is only one criteria. We also have other criteria. That is not the only criteria. Okay, there's some other criteria, like for example, motive. What is your motive? Okay, that's one criteria. What's the motive? The other one is justice. Issue of fairness and equality. Whatever we do, we try to be fair to all the stakeholders, to all the parties involved in the dispute, in the argument. Are we being fair to everyone? This is another criteria we need to look at. Justice perspective. We call this the justice perspective. The second aspect is the rights. The decision that you made, does it respect the rights of others? In the case of a company, we have people called minority shareholders. Oftentimes in the corporate world, okay, oftentimes when companies, especially big companies, multinational companies, listed companies, when they make decisions, they just trample, T-R-A-M-P-L-E, trample on the rights of the minority. Okay, sorry to say, I just have to use a Malaysian terminology here. Maybe some of you will get what I'm trying to say. They say sepak terajang, trample. Don't bother at all. They don't bother at all. So meaning that you're not respecting the rights of others, especially the minority shareholders. And then motive. The intention to do the right thing for its own sake. Okay, why do I do this? This is the right thing to do. It may not bring me benefit, but I am happy. My conscience is clear. I've done the right thing. So this is what we call duty-based or deontological theories. Okay, so under this perspective, this is another perspective. Okay, the earlier one we saw just now is based on outcome. Teleological theories, outcome-based, consequence-based, but this one is more on duty-based. So which says that the intention to do the right thing is more important than the results of the act. So under this framework or this model, so when we make an evaluation about whether a decision is ethical or not, so it's not just about the outcome. It's not purely based on outcome like the earlier model just now. Here we also look at other aspects. Justice. Are we being fair? Are we treating all the claimants equally? Or are we prejudiced in favor of one claimant? Okay, when you study law, you have this concept of claimant. Okay, all of those who are making a claim, all of those who are suing are claimants. So you need to be fair. You need to treat them equally, justice, and then rights. So a good decision will respect the rights of others, especially in we are looking at in the context of company. We have what is called minority shareholders. Oftentimes their interests are ignored. When company make decision, they don't bother about the minority shareholders. I think recently there was a case in Malaysia, very recent case, which created a lot of waves in the media. Please go and read it up yourself. Just Google. The name of the company is Serba Dynamic. Or is it Serba Dinamika? I forgot the name. It's something like that. Serba Dinamika, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Serba Dinamika. And they had one of the major issues is that they didn't bother about the minority shareholders in making their decisions. So much so that the auditors KPMG refused to sign off on the audit report. Okay, they were very blatantly doing a lot of things. Okay, I think I don't want to go into the details of that case. It's called Serba Dynamic. Okay, it's a listed company on the Bursa Malaysia. It was in the headlines for some time, so please go and Google and read up about it. This is what I mentioned in my tutorial class just now. Try to give some examples. For that, you need to do some reading. You need to keep abreast of what's happening outside in corporate Malaysia. You're training to be an accountant, not just to see figures, but also to be aware of what's happening outside in the corporate world. Okay, so this is a very recent case. I think it was in now we're in September, right? If I'm not mistaken, it was sometime in August or July. So very recent case. So just Google. If you want, go to the business publications like the Edge. They have a lot of write-up on this case. Okay. So what was the major issue in that case? As I recall, they make decisions. They just totally ignore the rights of the minority shareholders. Okay. Virtue ethics. Virtue ethics says that ethical character is more important than the right action. This is called virtue ethics. Okay, this in some books they will describe it as your moral compass. Your moral compass is not like that compass that you have in your mobile phone, okay, which shows you the direction, okay, north, south, east, west, and so on and so forth. That is the normal compass. The moral compass is something inside you, meaning that it tells you, oh, this is not correct. It's your gut feeling, it's your intuition, it's your gut feeling. They call it your moral compass. Okay, it's inside you, either because of your upbringing, because of the type of people you hang out with, you know, your family, your religion, your peers, whatever. Okay, so you're developing virtues. So developing virtues creates ethical dispositions. Developing virtues, meaning that if you have all these virtues, it will make you a more ethical person. This is what we mean by developing virtues creates ethical dispositions. Virtues like courage, courtesy, compassion, generosity, fairness, fidelity, friendliness, honesty, integrity, prudence, self-control. So if you develop all of these, maybe it's not possible for one individual to develop all these virtues, but if you have some of these virtues inside you already, then you will be this is what they call it, creates ethical dispositions. It's just like a moral compass inside you. You know straight away, oh, this is not right, this is wrong. Straight away you know, okay, this is not correct, this is wrong. There's no two ways about it. Okay, so this is what you call your moral compass. Now, virtues are not inborn. Okay, I think it's a very important statement. Huh? Virtues are not inborn. You cannot say that, oh, he's born in that family, therefore he's more virtuous. No, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. It's not inborn. It is developed through learning and practice. So that's one of the reasons why you are studying this module. So we are hoping, or rather I'm hoping to expose you to some of the important concepts in ethics. What is ethical? What is unethical? You know. So the important point that I want to make is it is not inborn. It's not that somebody is born more virtuous than others. No, but by exposure through learning in the classroom like now, and through practice, which will come later on when you start working. Okay, so if your moral compass is very strong, it's highly developed, it's like you have your antenna in your head, okay, tell you, oh, this is wrong. I don't want to partake in this. Okay, I'm not going to take shortcut. Because when I get caught, I know the consequence will be serious. Okay, let me digress a bit here and talk about cheating. Every semester, okay, because I'm on the discipline board, it's very sickening, but I have to read the report, okay, about students caught cheating in the exam, and some of them I know. So when I see the name coming up, you know, I think, oh, it's very good in my class, in my ethics class, but I'm so surprised he was caught cheating in the exam. Okay, unfortunately, let me say now, and hopefully you're paying attention. If you're caught cheating in the final exam, you are straight away awarded 0. Okay, straight away awarded 0. So what am I trying to say to you? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's better to get a B, a C plus, or a B plus than to get an F0. Okay, so do not attempt it. Okay, you might think you're being clever, but you will be caught. If you're caught, the consequence is very serious. It will definitely affect your transcript, affect your CG. So principles of professional conduct: integrity. Integrity. Have integrity. Be objective. Objective means not bias. You are not biased. Opposite of objective is subjective. And then competence. You are competent. You're good in your job. So next time when you're good in your job, so your customer, your client will come to you because your name is out there in the marketplace. People talk. All the more nowadays with social media, which is so rampant, so prevalent, everybody is on social media. Just in a matter of seconds, your name can be spoiled. Somebody can say, okay, please make this viral. This firm, okay, they are always cheating. They collect the money, they never do the service, or they do a half-baked job. Okay, they do a slipshod job, or like they say in our Malaysian colloquial, chincai. Then your name will be spoiled. Your name will be spoiled. No client will come looking for you. Okay, so professional conduct, integrity, objectivity, competence. These all can be likened to virtues. Okay, the opposite of virtues is vices. I'm sure you've heard this word before, vices. So vices is the opposite of virtues. So basically this philosophy says that your ethical character is more important than the right action. So this is part of what they call as virtue ethics. Okay, many possible outcomes. So many possible outcomes. So two people may come to different answers about what is ethical in a particular situation. So what is your ethical philosophy? So let's have a reflection activity. Now we don't have much time, so I hope we will be quick on this one. Okay, we are now at 10:37 or 11:37. So reflect on an ethical situation recently. How could you have acted more ethically? Why did you behave in that manner in the first place? How would you have behaved if you were somebody who believed in the theological perspective? Or if you're somebody who believed in the deontological perspective, or somebody who believed in the virtue ethics perspective. Okay, probably I'll try and finish my slides first, then later on I will, if there is time, I'll come back to this. Okay, we already missed lecture last week, so I think I just keep moving first, but anyway, if there's time, I will come back to this. In the meantime, you can think about this. Now we look at the Code of Ethics. So these are the Code of Ethics by the IFAC, International Federation of Accountants. They have Code of Ethics of Professional Accountants, which guide member bodies like CPA Australia, also MIA. Okay, so this code highlights fundamental principles that apply to all aspects of professional accountants' work, provides guidance for resolving conflicts of interest and other ethical situations that may arise from time to time. So what is a very important point I want to make in this slide is when you join a profession, so in this case, you're all trained to be accountants, not engineer, not lawyer, not architect, whatever. Joining the accounting profession, in the case of Malaysia, there's only one regulator. I've said this countless times, MIA, Malaysian Institute of Accountants. So you agree to uphold its high ethical standards. Understood. Once you join MIA, it's understood. You agree to uphold its high ethical standards. So public interest, ethics in practice. The profession promotes and preserves the public interest, even at the expense of its members and its own self-interest. So the International Federation of Accounting Bodies defines interest as the responsibility that professional accountants have to society. Okay, the next point is very important. Okay, I've said this many times. Your primary duty is not to your client or to your employer. If you're working for yourself, you have clients. If you're working for someone, you have an employer. But the guidance from the professional body is that your primary duty is not to the client or the employer, but to the public or society in general. So how can we serve these public interests? How? Professional behavior. Behaving in a professional manner. Adhering to the fundamental principles of professional conduct. Then one of the goals is protecting public interest. So again and again, this is mentioned. So I hope I have got this message very clear to you. A profession promotes and preserves public interest, even at the expense of its own members and its own self-interest. So what we are trying to see here is if ever there is a conflict between your self-interest and the public interest, do not hesitate for 1 second to give your answer. Public interest comes first. So what is public interest? Responsibility that we as professional accountants have to society. Okay. Public interest, ethics and practice discussion. So we're going to explore the concept of primary loyalty and a number of stakeholders. So you're a CPA working in public practice. You believe in the accountant-client relationship. In this view, no one else matters but the client. This is when you're in public practice. Okay, public practice means you're working for yourself. You have clients. That is one scenario. The other scenario is you're working for someone as an employee. You're getting a salary. So when you're working for someone, are you owing your primary loyalty to your majikan, to your employer, or what? So the question is, you see below there, what is your view on the above scenarios? Who should get the primary loyalty? Okay. So now I think we have about, yeah, we still have about 20 minutes. So these two issues, okay, I'm going to go back to the chat area shortly. So I want you to reflect on these two. Okay, this is the first one. Okay, take a picture or whatever. Okay, I want some answers for this. This is what is your ethical philosophy. Okay, so please put your answers in the chat area. Shortly I will come back to the chat area. This is called reflection activity. Okay, I would like to see some answers. And then also this one, this discussion about ethics in practice. We are going to discuss the idea of primary loyalty. When there's a number of stakeholders, where should our primary loyalty lie? Okay, we have two situations here. One, you are working in a public practice. You have clients. Okay, so who are you going to give priority to? And the other one is when you're working for someone as an accountant, as a financial controller, as a internal auditor. Okay, you're getting a salary. So who should you give your primary loyalty? We want to explore this concept of primary loyalty. So what is your view on the above scenarios? Who should get the primary loyalty? So now I go back to the chat area. So to see some answers, we have about 15 minutes. We'll have some discussion about this. Okay. So finally, post some answers in the chat area for me to see. So the first one is on the reflection activity, looking at it from the different perspective. The ontological perspective, teleological perspective. Okay, so that is from that situation. Okay, so let me bring up the slide here. Okay, this one here. What is your ethical philosophy? I'm not asking about other people's ethical philosophy. I'm asking about your ethical philosophy. So reflect on an ethical situation recently. Only you know lah. This is something that you encountered. It could be in not nowadays you don't go to campus. It could be in a supermarket. It could be in a hotel. It could be in a government department or wherever. Reflect on an ethical situation recently. How could you have acted more ethically? Why did you behave like that in the first place? How would you have behaved if you're a teleological or consequences for? If you believe in the teleological perspective, or if you believe in the deontological perspective, or if you're somebody who's a proponent of virtue ethics. So this is something personal to you. Okay, this is a reflection activity, something that you encountered recently, and based on your experience, if you were one of these, if you believe in one of these theories or these philosophies, how would you have acted differently? Okay, so that's the first reflection activity. And then the next one is this one here, looking at the concept of primary loyalty. Okay, so what is your view on the above scenarios? Who should get the primary loyalty? Okay, so now come back to the chat area. I'd like to see some answers in the about 14 minutes or so we have left. Share your answers in the chat area. Okay, for both the activity, one is the reflection activity based on a scenario that you encountered recently. It could be at home, it could be in the supermarket, it could be in the mall, it could be any government office or whatever. And now that you know about these different perspectives, the teleological perspective, the ontological perspective, virtue ethics perspective, how would you have reacted or behaved now that you have been exposed to these three different philosophies? Okay, and the second one is on the concept of primary loyalty. It could be in two situations. Either you're working for yourself, you have clients, you service your clients, or it could be that you are working for someone, they call a PAIB, professional accountant in business. You're getting a salary, maybe as a financial controller, as a chief accountant, senior accountant, internal controller, internal auditor. So again, who is owed the primary loyalty? Come on, let's have some answers. We've got about what, 12 minutes only? 12 minutes left. Any takers? Some of you never opened the mouth. Whole semester, never opened the mouth. Maybe I got to call people. Liu Jet, are you in the class?
Yeah, I'm here, sir.
Okay. Are you able to open your camera?
Open camera?
Yeah.
Maybe later, sir. I'm still doing the question.
Oh, we don't have much time, lah. Only less than 11 minutes.
I just screenshotted the two questions.
Okay, never mind. In that case, you just unmute and speak up, lah.
Just unmute and speak up.
Yeah. No need to what you call, because we don't have time. We got about 11 minutes. So, are you following my discussion in the lecture just now?
Yeah, of course, sir.
Okay. So the first one. Okay, just hang on. Just hang on. I go back to that slide so that you know what you're talking about. The first one I'm talking about is this one here. Reflection activity. Reflect on an ethical situation recently. How could you have acted more ethically? Why did you behave in that manner? How would you have behaved if you are depending on which philosophy you believe in, theological, deontological, or virtue ethics. So this is your personal thing, okay? You can answer according to your views. And the second one I want you to answer is this one, the last slide here. Concept of primary loyalty. Either you are working for yourself, you are CPA in public practice, you have a lot of clients. So who do you owe the primary loyalty? Or the second scenario is where you are working for a company as a chief accountant, senior accountant, financial controller, internal auditor, whatever. So who do you owe your primary loyalty? So I have explained the question to you. So now I'm looking forward to hear your answers. So you can unmute and speak up.
Hold on, Yasser. I'm trying to understand the second question again.
Okay, I repeat. The second question is basically we want to explore this concept of primary loyalty. Who do you, as a professional accountant, owe your primary loyalty to? There could be two scenarios. One, either you are in public practice, meaning that you are working for yourself, you are providing services, and you are being paid for your services by your clients. You're self-employed, working for yourself, you are providing services. You open your own firm, open your own practice. The second one is you are employee. You are being employed in a company as a chief accountant, senior accountant, financial controller, finance director, whatever. So you have an employer. The relationship is employer-employee. Employer-employee. So again, the same concept.
Okay.
Primary
Yeah,
loyalty. Okay, go the first one first.
Okay, so the first one was on what is my ethical philosophy, right?
Yeah, but before that, you need to share a situation that you encountered recently so that we can know what is it you're talking about. Only you know what you encounter. Maybe something unpleasant or whatever, supermarket or in the mall or in the government office or wherever lah.
I see. I haven't gone out recently, so regarding this.
It could be a family gathering, or it could be, I know it's quite difficult now with this COVID and lockdown.
What?
Okay, not necessary if in this recent time. When you were in the campus before, didn't you come face to face before last night? Didn't you have class face to face?
No, but I did during my foundation. So.
Oh, okay, all right.
So regarding this, I think, can I talk about the normative ethical theory then? So?
No, I cannot tell you because this is personal to you.
Personal to me.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose anyone. You can adopt any one of those three. But I just want to know, to see from your explanation whether you really understand it or not. That's all. I cannot decide for you, say that you got to take deontological or theological or virtue ethics. You can choose anyone which you think you're comfortable with, but you need to explain. Then I can understand from your explanation whether you have understood what I've been talking about.
Okay, I guess I can use an example similar to yours, which I encountered on campus, actually, sir. Okay, so I guess I'll talk about the teleological theory, which is the consequential one.
Teleological. The first one, is it?
Yeah, teleological.
Outcome based, right?
Yeah, consequential.
Okay, all right. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so as we know, this is based on like the consequences of the outcome. So I want to elaborate on there are two, you can like split into two categories, but I'll talk about utilitarianism. Okay, so regarding this, is actually, so we know that this is actually based on what is the outcome that benefits the most people, right? So let's say at Taylor's, back in my foundation, we used to have a chicken shop like KFC near the smoking area.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
Shop small, right?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So you know, people have different views, where some may say that because the smoking area is actually just right next to that shop, which actually now I think it closed down. So there are the smokers who will say that like they are actually using the designated area. You know, they have the right to do so. Taylor's was the one that actually allocated the area there. but maybe those that are eating, you know, they're trying to eat, they say like it's not a very nice view. If you know it's dangerous for us because there's still like you're indirectly
Second-hand
affecting us.
smoke. Second-hand
Yeah,
smoke.
second-hand smokers.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in my opinion though, maybe it's a bit controversial lah, but I don't smoke first of all.
Okay,
But
fair enough. But so what is the issue? Health issue or what?
I
You
think
don't
that
agree based on what?
no, I agree. I agree actually. As
Oh,
in
you
like
agree?
yeah, because this is very opinion based. I think like, you know, based on the outcome that it's best for everyone now. I would say that maybe
So are you in favor of there having that smoking area there at the corner of the building, shops mall there?
yeah, I am in favor actually.
You are in favor. So what is your
And
justification?
my justification is that you know, like it's actually not as easy to quit smoking. One, there's always the withdrawal symptoms, and they are abiding by the rules. It's not like it was tailors themselves that actually allocated the area there. You know, like
Okay.
so even though maybe it played a key factor in the reason why the chicken shop closed down because of this, like they are doing it in they are doing they are just following they are following the rules, you know, and that
Okay.
is beautiful in its own way.
Okay. 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 All right. I just want to see whether you understood or not. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. We'll have further discussion with this in the tutorial class. So now I just want to go to these camps and get your attendance. All right. Okay, I'm going to share I'm sharing my screen. So please do the attendance on the camps now before the screen shut down. Okay, we'll discuss this further in the tutorial class. S65 AAT, capital letter S65 AAT. S Sabah 65 AAT. So okay, we will explore those two questions in the tutorial class as we are running out of time. So you can all think about it. Okay.